have more money next year than you do right now. Hi everyone, and welcome to Fun to Know with Carol. My name's Carol, and I'm here every Tuesday with a video that helps you connect with your curiosity. We like to say these are for people who love to learn. I'm here at the Pismo Beach Boardwalk, and I'll flip the camera around so you can see the beach out there. It's just gorgeous today. And our subject for the day is finances. And you might be saying, what do finances have to do with the beach? Or what's the beach have to do with finances? But you'll find out why by the end of the video. Okay, you just have to be patient. When it comes to the beginning of the year, we tend to take stock on where we are in our lives, and for many of us it's financially as well. So I've put together a few things to remember if this is your case, and I've also asked my financial advisor to come in on a Zoom call with me, and he has a few tips to share as well. But I heard a great tip the other day that said, a dream with a date becomes a goal. Put on paper with some actions and it becomes a plan. Those actions then can become reality. So let's start with the dream. You may be thinking, financial wealth is not something that I'm aspiring to, but I sure would like a dishwasher. Or it may be something like, I'd love to be able to retire at, and you fill in the age. Or it may be as simple as taking a 3-day weekend, a nice vacation that you don't want to have to worry about the finances over. Think about what it is that you've been dreaming of and see if you can put a date to it. What's one thing that you have been thinking you'd like to do? You don't have the money for it right now, but you'd like to do or have, and put a date to it. And the next step is to turn it into a plan. And you might be saying right off the bat, I am not a financial planner. I don't know how to do that stuff. It's simply about putting legs on that date. So if your dream of a dishwasher is sometime this year, let's break it down into some weeks. Okay, there are 52 weeks in the year. If you want to have it by the summer, maybe it's 26 weeks. Okay, how much is it going to cost, and can you divide that by 26 weeks? That's the kind of financial planning that happens early on, that just takes a dream, turns it into a date, and then puts some legs on it with a plan. Now let's see what my financial planner had to say about this. I asked him for his top 3 tips, and here's his first one.
Carol, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to do this video with you. Number 1 would be cash flow. I would like people to get a better handle of their household cash flows. What comes in, what goes out in terms of income, in terms of expenses. And that's really the key to any kind of financial success, to have handle on your cash flow. So you can understand your capacity to save, you can understand your capacity to spend, and also you can manage your expenses to be within your income levels and allow yourself to give yourself a good margin for savings as well.
So getting control of your cash flow, that sounds a little intimidating, but really, as Sanjay says, it's just about knowing what's coming in, what's going out. Doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be pencil and paper, it can be a spreadsheet, it can be an app that you use, but the whole idea is getting an idea of what's coming in, what's going out, so that you can then do something to grab a hold of those finances and they don't just disappear into thin air. Once you have that cash flow picture, then one of the most important steps is going to be for you to come up with some kind of a savings plan. Now, you probably want to incorporate into that drawing down some of your high interest credit cards. If you have a lot of credit card debt, that's an important step. Before you can really start to save, you need to make sure that those high interest credit cards are drawn down. And that might mean transferring to a zero interest credit card as long as you feel you can get it paid off in the 12 or 18-month promotional period that they have. But let's say you don't have that credit card debt and yet you still have a difficult time saving. One of the most painless ways to do this is simply to take it off the top, to arrange with your bank to take $10 a week or $25 a week or $50 a week and put it into that savings account that is not going to be touched for anything. That's what's going to be your dream savings account. Now, you might be at a bank that gives you nothing for a savings account, no interest. This might also be the time to look at an online bank. There are more and more of them, and they have decent interest rates for their checking and savings accounts. So maybe it's your savings, your dream savings, that you want to put into that online bank. It's worth looking into. What's Sanjay's next tip for us?
And number 2 would be for households to manage their risks. So after you have a good understanding of your cash flow, you manage your cash flows. Now look at the different areas of risk that you and your family are exposed to. And risk being, if you have a mortgage, if you have dependent children, if you have dependent spouse, what happens to the mortgage payments, or what happens to your dependents if should something happen to you untimely, unforeseen. So that, what I'm talking about is different kinds of insurances, life insurance, disability insurance, especially long-term disability insurance.
That's right. Identifying your risk and being able to address it with insurances. And this is where a financial advisor can certainly help you. They will ask you very pertinent questions to see what those risk areas are for you and to give you options. You can certainly investigate on your own and make your own options, but at least they're asking you the right questions so that you can make decisions for yourself. And last but not least, Sanjay has some advice for us regarding investments.
And then the third area of finance that I think everyone should focus on is building their nest egg. They need to be aware of how it's invested, where it's invested, use an advisor or use someone that's more competent, more professional, get professional help for it. Make sure your portfolio is well diversified. Make sure your wealth continues to grow with time. It doesn't have to be, hitting the ball out of the park every time, but over time, simple returns over time, even 5, 7, 8% annual rate of return over time add up to a lot of money.
That whole word wealth really throws a lot of people because we think of wealthy people as having millions and millions of dollars. No, we're talking about those people who are able to realize their dreams. That's the kind of wealth we're talking about. So this is where it gets back to why am I at the beach when we're talking about finances. The other day, I ran across a set of index cards that I had written out in 2005. And on each card, I have a goal, a dream, actually, that I wanted to put some legs to and make sure it became realized. So pay for my grandchildren's education. That was one of them. Have a retirement home at the beach. Can you see now why we're at the beach? That was able to be realized. But these cards represented for me, they're not all financial. Some of them are emotional and relational and that sort of thing. But they represented for me a dream that I had put a date on and then put some legs to so that I could plan it and accomplish it. Not all of them are accomplished, but there are steps that have been made. And talking with a financial advisor or a financial planner is really, I think, one of the most important things you can do. They are asking you the right questions. Another way to start building that wealth is to engage your employer. If you are still working and assuming that you have been adding value all along to the company, given the current situation with employees, this might be the time to be asking for a raise. And they may not be aware of the fact that there is actually quite a hefty provision in the CARES Act for people who are paying down student loan debt or going back to school for tuition assistance all the way through 2025. So if they're not aware of that, it's over $5,000 a year. That's a great benefit to be asking your employer about. You can have more money next year than you have this year. It takes some steps, starting with that dream, whatever the dream is for you, putting a date on it, putting some legs to it, which is your financial plan, getting control of your cash flow, understanding what that is, identifying your risks, and then saving consistently and wisely. A financial planner can certainly help with that. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you next week.